right. How do I shut this thing off?
I'm going to make that the hook for this video, Mike.
How do
I leave?
That's the hook. Mike just being stuck on Zoom. Like, what the fuck?
It's like your face, being stuck. So,
all right.
This is the bloopers.
I'll end it. I'll end it, y'all.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Guys.
Thanks again, Mike.
Guys, so we're going to get started here with our Problems or Profits webinar. Again, I'm joined by a couple of killers in the space. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about how to move fast and break things. And we're joined by our special guest, Mike VanHoudt, who also runs a sick YouTube channel, Acceler8 TV. This is his Instagram handle going on here, just at the bottom. And here is, again, his Instagram handles for you once more time. Give him a little bit of love there. Make sure throughout this webinar, I openly invite you guys to tag us in posts. We will reshare your content. So make sure you give us a little love on Instagram. Follow us. AdamJmartin's Instagram handle is right here, at Rebecca Lynn Matheson, and at Mike VanHoudt with Acceler8 TV. So guys, just to give you a little bit of a background on our guests, well, first I'll start with our co-host. So AdamJmartin, he's an absolute rock star in the real estate investing world. He's done everything from flips, JVs, VTB deals, and last year alone, he wrote over 1,000 offers on real estate transactions. So he actually owns the company that I work for in wholesaling. So I actually started in this world back in September. So real estate investing is all still new to me. So I actually started from the fitness space and jumped over to real estate investing. And I've learned a lot from working hand in hand with AdamJmartin. So he actually started this company with Matt McKeever, and they've just in this past year gotten that to a 7-figure business and growing. So we have a team of full-time wholesalers, and they all go out and they find epic, awesome off-market deals for all of you guys. Now, we're also joined by special guest Mike VanHoudt in the house. So Mike VanHoudt, he runs and owns multiple businesses, and he has done hundreds of real estate transactions himself. And he's actually bought some deals from us, which is awesome. He'll talk a little bit about that as well. He is a passionate YouTube content creator. And as we mentioned, Acceler8, if you're not already following, make sure you go over to YouTube and subscribe and like all of the videos and watch them. And just on his channel alone on Acceler8 TV. Now, he also has a personal channel, so make sure you give that some love too. But on his Acceler8 channel, he actually has over 40,000 subscribers, which is killer. But more than that, 6.8 million views, which is so wild. And I feel like that number has already changed since the last time that I checked, because it's continuing to go up and absolutely blow up. So I'm going to hand it over to Adam just to talk a little bit about himself, and then we'll get Mike to do a little intro for himself as well.
Yeah, awesome, guys. So for those of you that have not yet met me, I am in fact a 26-year-old real estate investor here in London, Ontario. I have had the opportunity to do a lot of different stuff in the real estate space, including some very creative finance deals. So one of my first deals was a 96% vendor take back in first position for 13 years at 3%. And if that was all gibberish to you, please tune in to Cashflow Tribe, is another company that we operate that does real estate investing education. Okay, this is a company that can teach you how to get into more deals in less time. Aside from Cashflow Tribe and getting into my own personal real estate, I do own and operate one of Canada's largest wholesaling companies, where we secure private real estate deals, and then we go ahead and we assign those contracts to real estate investors on our buyers list. So that's something that we're going to be talking about as a piece of moving fast and breaking things, is how do you actually go ahead and get into more properties. I'm also going to talk a little bit tonight about moving fast and breaking things from a business leadership and business ownership perspective. So I'll give you a little bit of insight as to how I turned my company around from doing $10,000 to $20,000 a month to doing consistently $200,000 to $300,000 a month. And I'm going to walk you through that sort of step by step. And in the meantime, I'll toss you over to Mike, and then we'll get a discussion going on what it is that we actually see moving fast and breaking things looking like, and how you can prevent yourself from going off the rails when you're doing that process. So Mike, how the hell are you?
Let me start this off by saying, what's up, YouTube, and welcome back to the channel.
Amazing.
So if you guys don't know me, I'm a guy that bought rental properties since 2005. I just kept buying student rentals and bought as many student rentals as I could. I lived in Toronto at the time. I worked for Audi, so my background is the car business, so I sold cars. But the rental game is pretty interesting because it forced me to sort of have my savings not stored up into a bank or give it to somebody to make money. Because whenever I got credit apps in, when I first started, I remember the first year, and this kind of sticks still with me today, is I got credit apps just like this. And on these apps, it would be like a guy that was in the finance game, and you're making like $250, like $400 a year. And I'm like, why am I giving my money to these guys? You know? And and even still, like, I quit last year, but even still at that point, I mean, the guys, if they want to make money, I always thought, man, if I have a kid, I'm going to make sure this kid does like stock trading, finances, deal with some people's money. You know what I mean? That was like the thing, right? You know? So I got my first like statement back, and it was like the interest I got was like $2,000. And I'm like, what a freaking waste of time. So anyways, I found out through a buddy of mine that he was investing in London. He bought a house in Quebec Street. That was like the first time I ever heard of London to invest. And I just thought it was like student rentals. So I was like, I'm going to pour my money in student rentals. So that's what I did. I took my money out. I invested my RSP money in student rentals, and that's kind of how it started. And then it went to like I had 7 student rentals, and I only filled them with girls because I was single at the time. And I'm like, man, my buddies are going to love this. If it's filled with women, if it's filled with dudes, nobody's really interested, you know? But if it's filled with girls, all of a sudden it becomes a talking point, right? So that's how the game started. And then from that point, I realized, man, student rentals are like May to May, or like, and then in fan shop, people would like drop out. They want like 8-month leases and all that stuff. And I was like, man, it's just not what I want to do. So then I converted to like dealing with like mid to lower end sort of rentals. So like triplexes, duplexes, fourplexes. So I bought a ton of them because they were cheap. That's the truth. Like, there's nothing smart about what I did. It was cheap. My mortgages were like, and this is the time where you can get like easy mortgages. It easy in the sense, like, not easy to get, but easy to kind of justify, right? I think that's probably the better way to say it, because I would get like my mortgage, my mortgage payment was like $600-700 a month, but these places were cashing like $2,000 a month, $3,000. And people were always like, they're not going to pay you. And honestly, most of them didn't pay me, but they paid enough for $600. So that's all I cared about. I was already making money in Toronto selling cars. So for me, that wasn't a big deal. And anytime I got an issue or a problem or a headache, I was like, well, just fix it and take it off the rent. That was like the thing, you know? I wasn't on top of my business. My business has sucked. But it's real estate, man. It's the most forgiving sport you can get into. I mean, besides reviewing cars, that is amazing. Like, you can make mistakes all the time. Nobody cares. But the real estate business is like, you can make mistakes all the time. The rental business, I should say. You can make mistakes all the time. Nobody's going to call you out. You know, you just send someone to fix it. So, like, if you rent something and the tile wasn't straight or the ground lines are not colored properly, no one's going to give you shit unless you're trying to sell it and in like a high-end stuff, right? So nobody cares. So it's the most forgiving business you can get into. You can actually practice how to be a renovator in a rental, which is like crazy. But that's what we did. Like, I put so many guys through it, and, you know, and that's kind of how that started. So it kind of grew obviously from there until about 2008. Or 2009. So all the student rentals sold and bought all the duplexes, triplexes. And then I started realizing, man, I'm going to buy some apartment buildings, because apartment buildings are almost the same money in terms of cost per unit. Like, they're like 50, 60, 30 grand, 40 grand a door, depending where you're going. And I just kind of bought more. I bought a 14 unit, then I bought an 18 unit, then I bought a 22 unit. And then I sold. So in 2000 and I'd say, what are we, 2021? So 2016 or so, I had 144 units. That was like that was my peak. And at that point, I realized I just didn't want to be in the real estate game anymore. I felt like in London, I felt like everything was at the top of the mountain. I mean, everybody has that thing, right? We can never call the top, can never call the bottom. So at that peak, I felt like it was at the top. And Adam, you know, I didn't buy anything for like 4 years. I was going on the freaking Weibo Libitor selling all my shit, because I was like, man, I don't want to keep them, but I can't sell it all at once. So I got to sell like every 2 years. So I know you guys were like, man, you want to sell it this year? And I'm like, no, man, wait till next year. I got it next year, right? So that's what I was doing. I felt like I just wanted to sell stuff so I could feel like rich, man. I was always broke. And don't let that picture fool you. That's not my Porsche, by the way. But so I've always felt broke, and I sold it, and I finally got some money. And in 2017 or so, I started having money, you know. And up to that point, I had money, but I didn't really have money. You know what I mean? Like, I had a couple 20, 30, 70 grand in the bank account, but now, I have a lot more than that. And that is because I sold stuff. And now like, and I did. So even when you like, I can't see anybody. I can't see who's on this webcast besides you guys. So I'm going to kind of speak out here. So there is a problem when you have money. I know it sounds crazy, but actually the grind going upward is almost as exciting as being there dealing with what do you do with money, And I think people think like, man, I'm going to make all this money and then I'm going to just do this. And it's not the case. Like, I know like if you guys watch me on Instagram, you'll see that my stories, and I do post now. I'm more actively showing you guys private lending stuff because I feel like I'm doing it because people want to see it, but I've done a little bit of it in the last 4 years because I've got a bit of money together, but I didn't really feel like it was good enough. And I say that because I felt like I'm like an active, moving, kind of on the treadmill kind of guy, right? And if I just was like, yeah, I got this money and I loaned it out and I'm making this money and I'm going to sit at home and do nothing, it would just drive me crazy. So I'm like, I cannot loan money. I think so from a private, just a quick, I know I jump around all the time, but from a quick private lending perspective is I have like probably 40 to 50 dudes that throw deals at me. There's guys way bigger than me. So I'm going to talk about this quick thing and I'm going to jump to the next thing. So when you've got this private lending, you loan the money out, you're not active. You're bored as hell. It doesn't do you any good. It doesn't do anything for the soul. I don't think people know that. They're like, yeah, you got this money, you loan it out, and it's amazing. Life is amazing. You can retire. I'm like, retire and do what? I don't want to be retired. Like retiring is the most boring thing ever. I didn't get to this point to be retired. I got to this point to get better, And I think that's something that people get not depressed, but they just have the wrong vision about where life needs to go, as you see my stories, I post now. I'm like, I refinanced some money. I pulled out a good amount of a chunk of money out of my main building, which is 36 units. And now I'm like 200K a year, just private lending. Like that's it. This year, 200K private lending. Don't think about nothing. And I still have money in the bank to do rentals and flips and buy stuff, So it's a crazy amount of money. The government takes 50%, by the way, but it's a crazy amount of money, but I just don't like it. It's just the craziest, oddest thing. And people are probably going to write in the chat, this guy's a moron, click. But you need to understand that if you become lazy in the sense you can just loan it out, then what good is it, right? What good is it? Yeah, that's how I kind of feel. And that's the point I wanted to bring back is for YouTube and just before I forget, and before YouTube and everything else, that even though I can't see who's in this room. I'm assuming that there's some people under where I'm at and over where I'm at. But no matter how it's sliced, I'm still learning and I'm still growing. And I only have 40,000 subs, which is a shit ton. It's a shit ton. I get it. I see it. But man, I look at guys and I'm like, man, I want to get to this point. And there's guys I look up to and I'm like, that's amazing. How did he get there? I want to know. Because I'm going to be in that same position because I got 40K on Acceler8, but on my personal channel, as I said, I just kind of started a couple weeks ago and I got 124 subs. I suck. I suck, man. There's nothing good about what I'm doing. I mean, in the sense of 124, right? You know what I mean? That leverage up. It's not great. So I'm starting at the bottom and I like it because I want to know. I love starting at the bottom. I just love sucking. And I love being like, I want to be with everybody else. I don't want to be this. And the only thing that makes me like this is because real estate shot up. So that's the win, right? And I buy flips from you guys. I buy wholesales from you guys because one, it's you guys put in the work and I want to have that as content that you guys put in the work. So whether I bought it from you or somebody else, I'll get into the professionalism of you guys, but how for me, it's like, yeah, I bought that 100K one from Amar and I bought the 85K from you guys. I bought that stuff because I was like, man, I got to keep my roofing guys busy. I have a roofing company, but I keep my roofing guys busy, but also it's content for me, And also at the end of the day, it's about from zero to finish. And if you can you can fill all those little vials of, or whatever you want to call it, of start to finishes, then you can accomplish something in life, right? So that's why I do it. I don't think there's any glory in buying a 50-foot boat or like some stuff and sitting on it and being like, I made it. To me, it's boring as hell. And I just don't, just not my thing, man. So back to you, Adam.
Yeah, no, I think that's really interesting. Like when I think of how we got to where we're at today, where it's like, hey, we can actually pull together 7-figure years. And this year we're actually going for 8 figures. I think it is honestly, it has a lot to do with just the challenge of doing it, right? Like we made $1 million, we made like $1.5 million last year. And this year we want to try and do 10 million. And that's like a totally arbitrary number. And one of the reasons why I picked it is because it seems like a really fantastic challenge to try and 10x your business. I'm just thinking back now just to like really frame up moving fast and breaking things for the people on the call. Like when I started this, so I hadn't seen a single real estate contract or anything related to real estate investment about 4 years ago. So 4 years ago, I went to, and you guys will get a kick out of this, I went to the Guelph Public Library and I picked up a copy of Rich Dad Poor Dad. And that book set me down a path of really thinking about, financial independence and thinking about being a business owner and thinking about where I was at in my life at that time. Hey, nice Trey, love that. Where I was at that moment, spending about 60 hours a week at my office job, driving there. I would drive from Guelph to Kitchener every single morning, 7 a.m., get up. I had the nice car. I had an Audi A5 S-Line that I paid for because I did some door-to-door, which is a whole other move fast and break things, but I did some door-to-door sales, blew all that money buying the Audi. And then I went to work every single day to pay for the Audi and pay for my current lifestyle at the office. And I was spending 60 hours a week at the office. I was getting fat, miserable, and depressed there. Really pissed off at life, didn't really have anything to look forward to. And I think that's what you're capturing there. It's like, if you don't have that mission, it's really hard. So what I did is I went down to the public library, I picked up a copy of Rich Dad Poor Dad. And then I started reading that, getting really interested in real estate, because that was one of the surefire ways, as you said. It's very hard to, the easiest way to put is real estate investing is very forgiving, right? You can do almost nothing and make a lot of great money in equity. And I just benefited from that. I actually just sold my last property last night, actually. So I'm really excited about that. But I picked up Rich Dad Poor Dad. I got very interested in real estate investing. And then that's when I was introduced to Matt McKeever and Jeff Weibo on their limo tour. And I knew immediately that I could take control of my life and of my time and everything that I was doing with life at the time by just simply making a huge change. And that really is the spirit of moving fast and breaking things. I met Matt McKeever and Jeff on a Sunday evening for their limo tour. And Monday morning, I was in Matt's kitchen telling him that I was going to work for him. And when he said he didn't really know what I could do for him, I said, it's cool, because I'm not going to cost you anything. So you just come up with whatever you want. I'm just here to learn. Right. And then he actually threw me like a little hourly rate to just keep me surviving. But I was driving every single day from London to Guelph, or rather from Guelph to London now, to come and work for Matt on a volunteer basis to learn the skills. And so he paid me, he eventually started paying me just so I could afford the gas. But we both found out that I was a really shitty contractor. And I already told him that up front. I was like, this is not going to end well. He's like, I know, but you're crazy. So I like that. And he gave me that opportunity because I had the drive and the willingness to make big changes. So I called my current boss. It was like a $100K job that I was hating my life at. And I literally just said, like, I'm not coming in tomorrow. He didn't pick up the phone, so I left a voicemail. I just said, I'm not coming in tomorrow or any day after that. I'll mail you the computer. Sorry, but I got to take this shot. I took the shot, drove every single day for 6 months from Guelph to London in the Audi. So nice premium gas at the time, which literally, it was like $600 a month in fuel. And I was pretty much only making, $1,000 or whatever. So I was spending more on the car in terms of travel insurance and then rent for my apartment in Guelph than I was making. And I eventually ran out of money somewhere around month 5. And at that point, I had to start going on to credit cards. So I maxed out my credit cards. And during this time, I transitioned from contracting with Matt, because I was absolutely horrible at that, ruined one of his rentals. Actually practiced, rather, as Mike put it, practiced in one of his rentals, and he sold it for a huge profit. So it wasn't that bad. But the workmanship was just disgusting. And I transitioned somewhere through that. And it took me about 6 months, really, to get my first deal in wholesaling. And every single day, we truly were doing the move fast and break things approach. I was out door knocking hundreds of doors for 6 months, hundreds of doors. I was out leaving magnets on the houses of the doors that I was knocking in case I couldn't reach the homeowner. I would leave a magnet with my name and number and some details on it, kind of like a bandit sign. I was out putting out bandit signs on the weekend, put it out on Friday, grab it on Sunday afternoon before the city would pick them all up. Sending out handwritten letters, driving for dollars. I was literally doing everything you can imagine to try and get my hands on some real estate that we could wholesale or that I could keep. Now you got to remember too, I've just maxed out all my credit cards and I've got no cash. So that's why I brought up that creative financing deal at the start of this talk, is because I had no way to buy real estate. You need to actually show some sort of financial ability when you get a mortgage in Canada, because this is an actual real country, right? Like we actually do vet our financial system, and it's one of the best banking systems in the world. So this is like a really interesting fact when you're 24 years old and have no money and maxed out all your credit. And so I just pushed myself to the very limits every single day. And I think the only reason I was able to do that mentally and physically and spiritually was that I had a mission. I knew that I was either going to go all in and fail like with serious glory and fail forward, having learned a ton about communication, a ton about sales, a ton about real estate investing and financial prudence, or I was going to end up with a lot of real estate and get wealthy. And luckily I got both, right? And that's because I didn't stop. You know how many no's I got? I had so many rejections before I got to that first property, that first seller that let me in the door to talk about a wholesale deal. I was able to negotiate that with all of my heart. Like, and this deal, the house I'm sitting in right now, in order to get this deal, I had to drive my seller to their insurance broker, to the financial advisor, to their lawyer. I had to find a lawyer for him and then drive him to that appointment. I had to drive him to get groceries. I brought him boxes to move with. I brought him a moving company and paid for it. I bought his lawnmower when he needed some extra cash, right? The lawnmower that would have came with the house anyways. I then negotiated 3 different apartments for him to live in after the sale that were suitable for his physical needs, right? He needed a house with no stairs and close proximity to a bunch of amenities. I did all of that for him so that it was literally the easiest sale in the world for him. And all he had to do was say yes to the price and terms that I was laying out that I could actually afford to get into, which looked like a creative financing strategy where I could borrow his equity instead of having to qualify for it at the bank. And that is literally the only thing that kept me going. I focused on one singular goal for an entire year, and I did not relent. I moved forward, I moved fast, I broke everything I could in order to learn what worked and what didn't. And it was that forward momentum with a singular focus that allowed me to 100% run through every single wall that was ever put in front of me. And what ultimately led me to picking up not one deal, but I picked up, I think, 6 or 7 units that first year. And I was able then to learn everything I needed to know to leverage, move fast and break things, which is a phrase borrowed by Facebook, by the way, and which evolved later into move fast and break things with stable infrastructure, right? Moving fast and breaking things in that way over the course of that year taught me everything I needed to know to transition to the next state, which was, okay, I figured out how to make money. I figured out how to own real estate and how to deal with rejection and how to persuade my way to the next step and escalate a cold call into a real transaction that results in money. Can I teach somebody else to do it? And all of the pitfalls and challenges and shit that comes with that as a business owner and a leader. And that's where the stable infrastructure part comes in, is you start to document your process and refine your process and actually get better at it. But I can 100% echo what Mike just said, that it's not about the money. Like at a certain point, unless you're buying dumb stuff, like obviously I've got an addiction to Rolex and Omega, but apart from that, like you have to come up with excuses to spend stupid money when you're making stupid money. And at a certain point in time, it becomes very unfulfilling, right? Like you start to not care. Like before we started this webinar for you guys, we were just chatting, the 3 of us, and I got all these deliveries of like some new clothes and shit. And I'm like, I don't even remember doing that. And that's like more than what my wardrobe was worth of my entire life up to this last couple of years. So it's just like, I don't even know. It's none of it matters, in the same way that when I join my Monday morning call and I've got 14 humans, like real humans, they're actually real. I check on them every once in a while to make sure they're still real, but like 14 people that are there waiting, sharp as a tack, enthusiastic as hell, and ready to go at 8 a.m. every single day for our team meetings. And then they, yes, Way of the Wolf, Trade, man, you're on the books. And I will steal a lot of quotes, you'll notice, but they're there waiting, enthusiastic as hell and sharp as a tack for our morning meeting to figure out what it is that they're going to go do. And they're giving me updates as to how far they've progressed since when we first met. You know, and Rebecca's the perfect example of this, and I'm going to pass it off to Mike here in a second, but Rebecca's the perfect example of this. She joins our team in September, having never even been inside of a house. Okay. She literally has never owned a house, lived in a house, or been in a house. She's been homeless her whole life, working at Hybrid Fitness here in London. And then we bring her on the team. And here we are a few months later. We've just partnered on a new business with her, invested. We've committed to investing $50,000 for her to get off the ground with this new business and market it and create the sales functions and leadership, mentorship that she needs to be able to grow that business. And that to me is the coolest $50,000 I've spent yet. Right? It's empowering somebody to learn a new skill set and move forward quickly and break it. I am fully aware that Rebecca is going to fail miserably at most of the things that we allow her to do on her own in this company. And that's amazing, because at the other end of that, she's going to know exactly what to do the next time. She's going to know exactly what not to do when certain situations come up. And that is exactly the spirit of moving fast and breaking things. Is when you're moving fast, particularly when you're moving very fast, you can afford to make a lot more mistakes. Okay, because by the time that mistake actually hits you, you've already filled the hole with something else, right? You can actually plug the hole by just focusing on what really matters. And for us, that looks like looking at lead measures. Okay, like in our case for a wholesaling business, and this is probably the case for a lot of you if you're interested in real estate, it's how many leads are you generating, right? So how many offers are you actually making in order to put yourself in front of the right number of people to get in front of qualified deals that you can get a good deal on that's going to be profitable. So absolutely cannot stress enough how important it is to move fast and how excited I am about that. And I just wanted to share that story with you guys so you get some context from where I'm sitting at when we talk about moving fast and breaking things. So Rebecca, I think you wanted to comment on that.
For sure. Yeah. And just to build off of what Adam said there, you know, to give you guys a little bit of background as to where I've come from, I mentioned at the beginning of this chat that I came over from the fitness industry and knew absolutely nothing about real estate. And, you know, Adam is bang on there. I didn't even own any real estate, knew nothing about it, and just jumped into it. And here's where, you know, I saw an opportunity to learn from the people who were paving the way in this industry and really just going all in this industry. And for me to really jump into something like this, that's the type of action that you have to take in order to achieve the results that you're looking to achieve, in order to achieve your goals. And for me, transitioning from fitness into real estate investing, I was actually able to pull from a lot of my skill sets, but I still had to learn the language. I still had to trip over, you know, what even is a VTB? You know, I just got a direct message about what even is a VTB and can you talk about it? Well, now I actually can. I can talk about a vendor take back. I can talk about these things on a webinar in this context because I've just jumped in and taken action. And I love that phrase, move fast and break things, that we've borrowed from Facebook, because it just gives you permission to take action. And I love those little phrases on a day-to-day that do that for you. And for me, this is one of those phrases that allows me to just move with complete dedication and action towards a goal. When I started my role, we sat down and had coffee, Adam and I, and we didn't even know what the role looked like yet. Like it didn't even exist, guys. Like this disposition specialist role was created, and Adam paved the way along the way, and we figured it out. And now we're at the stage where, you know, I can step into another business and take on a partnership role because we've just, you know, stumbled through the creation of this brand new role on our team, which is going to allow us to really accelerate our progress this year. So last year we got to a 7-figure business. Now we're looking at getting to an 8-figure business, right? That's our goal this year. So, and we've just hired several new wholesalers and interviewed several more. And by the way, guys, we are still hiring. So I will have some links at the end of this presentation, but it's a fantastic phrase just to really really commit to what you're doing. So if you're looking for that permission, like give it to yourself. And this kind of iteration in your head, like it's okay if you stumble through it. Move fast and break things. You know, I've stumbled through a bunch of emails that I've sent to you guys, and I didn't have a bone structure for those. I just figured it out. And that's where I love that kind of everything is figure outable mindset, where you're just storming through it. And that's another phrase that I'm borrowing from Marie Forleo, which is a fantastic person to follow. But really, I want you guys to take this talk today and think about what your goal is, and think about how you can move as quickly as possible to that goal and reverse engineer it in order to get there. Don't worry about the details. You know, I had a conversation with someone this week that was trying to figure out, you know, how to actually sell their deal. And they were focused on what their sales package looked like, and focused on, you know, the color and the type of font. Like that shit doesn't matter. Like it's all about just throwing it out there to people. Say, hey, look, I've got this deal. These are the details. Like you don't have to have it all figured out and laid up in a perfect package. People don't actually care about that. They care about, you know, do they know, like, and trust you? Are you genuine? Are you communicating the information in a way that people can understand, and actually having some integrity in that communication as well. So one thing that I just really want to just get across to you guys and portray to you guys is that you just got to take action. And that's why I love this topic today so much. And I'm just going to pass it right back over to our guest today, Mike VanHoudt, because he is a killer in this. He's actually bought, as he mentions, 2 of our wholesale deals. And I remember having a conversation with Mike about the second one, and we were on the phone, and he literally said, he's like, I haven't even looked at the package, but I'm taking it. I'm like, that's amazing, Mike. It's yours. Like, and that's the type of gumption that, you know, Mike comes in with because of his experience, but also because of his mentality, because he lives in a world where he moves quickly towards his goals, and he knows that as long as he's taking action, he's going to get there eventually. Problems or profits, exactly what Adam's pointing to. You know, this logo means so much more, right? Under every problem, there's a profit. And I think that there's so much that can come from this chat. So think about this as we're talking today. Think about what your goals are, and then think of how you can actually just run at that. Over to you, Mike.
All right, Adam, that was really good. And Rebecca, man, you're such a good talker. Adam, how'd you score, man? Good for you. Good for you. All right.
We stalked her at the gym for a year, actually. And we were like, will you just fucking work for us? And I'm like, I don't have a job or a job description or a role, and I don't know how to pay you, but I'm ready to hire you. She's like, man, okay.
That's amazing. So I just wrote I didn't write any notes because I just really like going on the fly. But a couple of things I wanted to pick out when you guys were talking is, you know, I'm really, really happy that we live in an era now where for years, like honestly, as far as I could remember, people would always tell me, man, you just slow down. You're talking too fast. You're moving too fast. You got to slow down. You're doing too many things. You're not focused. And it would just grind me, man. It would grind me. Like it would just eat me alive. So much so that I would like give everything up just to go back in time and just fucking knock all those people out. Because you know what? It's just like, you're different, right? I'm just born different. I just wrote down all the things that I do in my life here. And these are just items, right? Like, so I wrote like salon, me and my wife, we have a couple employees and we have a salon. That is like one thing. I think I talked about it in Jeff's channel like 6 years ago, right? That was one thing. And he's like, so the salon pays for the house that you live in? I'm like, yeah. He's like, that's amazing. And I'm like, never really thought about it like that. Cool. You know, that's kind of like one thing. And then I wrote like rentals but I don't look at these like businesses. I actually forgot about them. So for me, I'm like, that's like yesterday's news, man. Let's talk about tomorrow. Let's talk about later today, right? I don't care. It's cool. Like, yeah, I do Instagram stories. I'm like, my wife's cutting my hair in our salon, in our house. I'm getting a haircut. Nobody else is getting haircuts because you can't leave your house. That kind of stuff is like, I don't really think about, this is a business. This is a profit. You know, I don't think about those things. I just do it and think. So I'm not going to talk about the meat and potatoes in the middle. I'm going to skip right to the top. And I'm working on, and some of you guys know that are watching and I see ya, is a restaurant. I'm working on a restaurant, right? So I found this partner I really like the food, and I thought, man, what's the worst business I get into that can crush me? And I'm like, the restaurant business. I'm like, let's hit up a business that will totally crush me. And
literally the worst.
Yeah, it's crushing me. So far, honestly, I shit you not, it's crushing me. This guy who has this business, he's like, man, he's like, I can't even explain it. He's like working in the business, like we talked about it earlier, but he's like in the business, and he's the guy at the front taking the order, and it's like, what do you want? You know, he's taking the order. Cell phone rings, he's taking the order. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're just not where I gotta be right now. You know, my time is more important than to spend it. So I just gave him basically the month. I gave him the month of February. I gave him like 4 things to do. And if I said if he can't accomplish these 4 things, I'm gone. See you later. You know, because I don't have time. I don't have the effort. I don't have the time. I like the food, you know, but I don't have the time. So anyways, that's that. YouTube. And I'm gonna talk about YouTube because Rebecca, you can skip the next screen now. Next screen. Click. Let me see YouTube. Let me see YouTube. No, that's Q&A. I saw the YouTube one.
Move fast.
Go back. Hold on. Yeah, I skipped a little bit. So I'm gonna go to this one. So here we go.
No.
So we've got a couple of YouTube things here. So we've got your Instagram handles. Again, make sure you give Mike VanHoudt a follow and follow his Acceler8 TV. But here are 2 YouTube channels. So here's your personal one. And stay there. Okay.
Yeah, go back.
Which one? Okay.
Go back to
Here we go.
The red one. Yeah.
Here we go.
So let's talk about cars, okay? Because everybody loves cars. So that's a studio. That's my YouTube studio, which is basically a building I bought 6 years ago because I own a roofing company. We do like flat roofing, commercial stuff, and some residential stuff. But anyway, so I bought that building and I cut it right in half, and I built that YouTube studio because when I was in the car business, basically I worked for Audi, and their mentality was like, look, you're here and people come to you and you're free encyclopedia. So people come to me and ask me questions about Audis, like Adam, from if they bought it somewhere else, they'd come to me for all the information. And I was just getting tired. And I said, look, I've sold 1,600 cars for you guys over 10 years in London. And I said, like, I've graduated. Let me get out of here, work from home, by appointment only. And then I'm going to come back to the dealership. I don't need a car from you. I got that red car. I don't need it. So I got my Poser car. I don't need anything from you guys. I got enough cars because of roofing and whatever else. And they said, no. They said, no, we want you to stay in the dealership and you cannot work from home. And I'm like, how does this not make sense? I'm going to train the guy to sit in this place that I'm sitting. I'm going to give you X amount of cars a year. I might drop off a little bit, but this guy will totally pick it back up. And then you have 2 guys, right? For free. I mean, we're commissioned salespeople, right? And they said, no. And at that point I was like, man, these people just don't see it. And the part that really changed it for me is that Audi Canada spent, I don't know, a ton of money to get impressions for the new Audi A6. Now, if you don't know cars, it's basically their mid-size sedan. And they spent so much money and they got 6 million impressions, okay? Over a 3-month, it was like 8.5 weeks, whatever it was. So like 2.5 months. And then I looked at my YouTube channel, which is one after this, and I had about 5.5 million impressions on this channel when I first started. I had like 12 videos. And I had 8.5 million impressions. Here's some background.
Rebecca, can you just mute all?
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Beck. Thanks, Rebecca. Boom. So the point of the story is that I realized that my little tiny dinky YouTube channel with at the time had like 8,000 subscribers almost had enough impressions, which is nothing. Impressions is like you see it on the side of YouTube. And I had almost as much as Audi Canada because they didn't know what the hell they were doing. And I'm thinking, man, and I reached out to them and I'm like, give me cars, you know, and even till this day, I reach out to Audi Canada and I tell them, look, this is my stats now. This is what I'm doing. I know it's still small. It's only 40,000. It's not 400,000 or a million, but I reach out to them and I ask them, can I get a car just because it gives them that connection to a manufacturer? And they said, no, they don't even get back to me. It's just ridiculous the way people think. So part of the story is really to tell everybody here that, you know, we're in a new era. So we kind of live in a new world. People say the internet is new, but it's not. The internet's not really new. The way of doing business on the internet for most of us is new. And because it's new, wholesaling is new, right? And same like me doing a personal YouTube channel. It's new for me. It's weird. I'm used to the car stuff, but it's new for me. So I embrace that stuff, but you all have to embrace whatever's new to you. And there's no, and the only reason I'm speaking of some sort of power, I guess, is because I've worked, right? It's worked. Whatever I've touched real estate wise has worked. So you listen to me like I have proof, or I'm speaking of value, right? But besides work ethic and all that stuff, because I'm sure most of you have work ethic, and if you don't, you start getting some, because that's like a standard, right? Like that's the minimum requirement. If you can't have work ethic, then you're just wasting your time looking at my pretty face and Rebecca's and Adam's and this fourth guy that I see. Sorry, Matt, I don't know your name, but you're wearing a Leafs jacket.
That's Matheson.
Oh.
He comes to all of our things.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Matheson.
Be here.
But really, I mean, really, that's the truth. I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, you know, my little list here, and I like to do more, but I don't want to get too watered down, because then you'll be like, what do you want? You want to buy a house from me? You want to get a roof from me? You want to get a car reviewed from me? You want the rental from me? You want to get your hair cut? Like, where do I stop, right? You know what I mean? And to me, I don't care. I don't care. If the threshold in life was to make money and that's all it was, that was weak. And that was what I believed in for a really long time. So I'm here to say it. It's not the truth. It's not about the money. It's just about the journey, man. That's the truth. And speaking of journey, I only got 129 goddamn subscribers. There's probably at least 10 people on this. So you can get me to 130. Take your phone, subscribe, smash the notification bell. Boom, Mike VanHoudt. Don't worry about Acceler8. I'm already there. I'm at 40K. That's like heaven, man.
I love it. So Mike, how do you, because you obviously have several businesses, okay, already. So how do you stay moving fast and breaking things in all of those businesses? Or do you find like, okay, better question, I guess, just for this audience is like, how long do you spend thinking about the next business? Or do you just get an opportunity in front of you and you jump on it? Because I know too many people, there's actually probably a bunch of you on the call that are like waiting to start your business until you get the perfect business card or the perfect website or the perfect YouTube video shot or whatever. How long are you actually taking to make these decisions, Mike?
So in terms of how, like, some people say, like, how do you sleep? Do I not sleep? And I totally do. I just, at the end of the night, I go to my phone and I go to the notes and I just write my notes. I just, whatever's in my brain, I just throw up on the notes, right? Easy. Then I'm clean. Yep, exactly, man. Notes, like, I got notes everywhere. Not Post-it notes, because then it'll be like one freaking daisy circus here. But I think that in terms of like how I move to the next things or focus on the specific business, a lot of them, to be honest, are seasonal. So like the big one for me is roofing. I mean, I got 11 guys to keep busy, and that's a lot of dudes, man, to keep like fed, you know, and that's a lot of pressure on me. And none of them are commission based or go out there and door to door and get a deal and then come back to me. So my business is different than yours. My business actually has probably more pressure because these guys have kids. So I gotta keep them busy, which means I gotta go get work. And the only person that goes out and gets work is this guy. So I probably gotta hire someone at some point, you know? So everything that
sounds stupid.
It is. I don't know. What am I doing? You know? Luckily enough, the roofing business, the calls roll in, and obviously social media is huge for me. If you guys follow my stories, obviously I show roofing in the summertime, probably like my stories, my life. I mean, truthfully, for those that know me and even the ones that don't, my life has totally shifted. My life used to go out there and go and try to get work. Now my life involves taking this little artifact and going and showing everybody my day. And obviously I do have involvement in it, but that's what my day consists of. I go around to all my different little projects. Not all the time, because some stuff I cannot obviously show all the time, you know what I mean? But that's basically my advertisement. I just go around and show everybody. But how I think about how the next stuff is, like a roofing job, let's say, usually takes, roofing, it's very easy. I have just a scheduler. I can put everything in there. I can build 3 months worth of work and then fill in stuff. And we do really good work. So part of that, Rebecca, when you were talking about, is relationships and like your word is your bond, right? Like, people know, so here's the big thing. It's all cascading, right? It's a cascading effect. People know that going to roofs, so if I do their roof, they're going to pick me because they know that I'm not going to fuck them on their roof. Excuse my fucking English, but it's true. I'm not going to screw on my roof because I have enough shit to lose. Like, I got a lot of shit to lose. Like, I do. So if a tenant is going to threaten me, I'm not going there. I'm not going to go fight him for $500. I'm like, let him fuck me for $500. I don't care. But I'm not going to fuck the person up for a roof because that's my reputation. So that's how I look at that. So I will get business from my roofing company in my sleep. I don't have to do a lot. I just post it on Instagram. I get referrals. I get referrals all the time. So my roofing calendar gets filled up pretty quick every year because of that. The salon business is the same way. We have like a 3-month waiting list. We're up to last 2 months ago, just before COVID, we had a 5.0 rating after 6 years of being in the salon business, which is very difficult. But that's what we had. We had a 5.0. You know, for me now, the excitement is obviously like flips. And honestly, the flips, the money part's cool, but it's to keep like my ecosystem busy, but also to make sure that I have content. And for me, it's about content because one, I want to see what I look like with, my hair is receding. So in like 5 years from now, I'll be completely bald and I'll have to probably wear problems or profits because
Look like Bezos, Brown right? Bezos.
So I think that's the truth, and that's what I want to look back at these things and say, man, what the hell was I thinking? Because I want to get what I was thinking when in my 20s, I don't want to be sitting on a couch watching this and being like, man, what did I do between that time and this time? And like the next time any of you guys see me or you see Adam or Rebecca, what have you accomplished between that time and today, right? And that next time, right? Like and you have to have some sort of accountability to yourself. And I know it's hard, man. It's so easy to be lazy. I think it's easy to be lazy over anything else in this world, right? You know that. It's just so easy to be lazy. And I get caught up in that. But I don't when I look at my phone and I got all these people on different sides of Instagram for me or Facebook or whatever that ask me these questions. They're like, man, we love your channel. How do you get your opinions? People call me, dude. People call me like they DM me. I get between like 5 and 8 DMs a day on Acceler8 on what do you think I should buy next? What car should I buy? What do you think about this car? What do you think that car is? How do you think, what's the best resale? And people that know me in my little circle on Instagram actually call me and ask me those questions. And I'm like, man, it just depends. Like I know cars pretty well that I can tell you like, okay, like, we just bought my wife, her fucking 3rd Range Rover Sport, which is like suicide, like fucking brakes. Like I bought the car for 14 grand 6 years ago and I spent 25 grand over the last 6 years to maintain it. Just to give you perspective. That's almost 40K. I could have just bought freaking whatever, but people call me for that information and that's just on cars. Then I get roofs. So what keeps me motivated is people grinding me more than me grinding people. And that's a different, like, it's like that perspective of when I had doctors come and sit in front of me. And the car business is really good. And I don't know what business you guys are in, but it's good to be in the selling business of states because what happens is people come in to look at cars and then guess what? They're in my space now and I get to dictate what I can ask them. So I can ask them about their livelihoods and I can build rapport with them, but then I get the data of how their mind thinks. And as long as I know how their mind thinks, I know how I can grow and learn and understand to get better, right? And if I don't know, you have to learn, man. You have to learn. And you guys say it a lot. You guys say it a lot. And they're like, you don't know what you don't know. And it's so true. There's nothing truer than that, man. I'm not better than nobody on this call, and nobody here is better than me. That's the bottom line. So I can learn from everybody, and everybody can learn from me. I know I'm the guest today, but I guess if we could take everybody on this call, they've got something important inside of them to say as well. And I think that's something that people need to know and learn. And I'm just reading this. It says you become the 5 people you're closest to. That's important, but it's also you can be around 5 people that totally suck. But if your mind is firm and you have a thick skin from rentals, because that's very easy to get one, then you'll know that it's about what you decide to put your attention to and what you allow to have in rent, right? Like I'm collecting rent from somebody because they're in my space. I'm not letting rent go in here. I'm not letting anybody go in here without getting rent, and that's so important to know that what's in this brain, man, is like key. And you cannot let anybody get in this brain if you don't want them to get in there. So.
I love that. I think there's a couple of threads there that kind of run through everything you just said. And I think one of the big things that you're talking about, there's a couple of things there. Accountability is huge. Okay. So when there's other people counting on you, you actually put forth a lot more effort. And some of you won't immediately want to identify business partners. That's actually a really big decision you'll have to make as you grow your businesses. But I think some of the accountability partners you might have currently that you're not viewing as that is your family, right? Your spouse, your current family, your people that look up to you, right? Your kids, your spouse, your parents, if you're younger, these and your friends, right? Like there's people in your life that can really benefit from you staying accountable to yourself. And I think it's very important that we see the accountability there as a driving factor for Mike's success. And it actually was a large factor in my success as well. Like I've made the money, it's fine. But now I'm very motivated to see like, oh, how fast can I get a brand new guy on my team to make money? And it turns out the answer is 12 days. And so that means like, holy shit, we learned how to train people really well. And so that's a cool box to check. And now it's like, okay, well, what if I hire 6 of them? Can I get all of them to do it? And then like you start playing these little games and you start gamifying it. So I think accountability is a big deal. Gamifying things and having fun with it is a huge deal because that's how you actually stay in the game for a long period of time. I'll show you guys something cool here in a second. If Rebecca can stop sharing for a moment. I'll show you how we gamify it our experience at my actual company. Not sure what just one second here, because I broke this. Oh, there we go. So this is actually something that I did on our team to keep everybody accountable. Is we actually, and we're still in the process of building it out, but like we've actually built out these little characters, right, in this scoreboard so that everybody can actually compete with each other and stay accountable, and we can have fun with it as a game. So this is just an example of like something that we're doing and thinking about at our company to keep it fun. So I think accountability is a big thing. I think having fun with life and not taking it too seriously and just like legit just show up every day, right, is a big piece. And then another thing that Mike was talking about, and that I hope you got from my perspective as well, was just abundance, right? Like when you stop worrying about the little details and you stop getting stuck in those little like analysis paralysis loops, and you can actually just move forward into things that you're passionate about and things that actually do, of course, hopefully make financial sense as well. You can often accomplish a ton of things in a small amount of time. And I really loved what Mike was talking about in those sort of little intervals of time, right? So actually, since the last time I talked to Mike, I remember the phone call. We chatted for an hour about YouTube and stuff. He started promoting and marketing his new YouTube channel, right? He's made progress on his studio. I was talking about the business and how it's doing. I've since generated an additional $241,000 of just revenue since I talked to Mike last. And like thinking about it now, like other updates, like, cool, Adam, what else do you do? I sold my properties. Like I'm done. I cashed in like at a big high time in the market. And so like, it's really empowering to just have people around you and have communities around you that you can actually go to express this stuff, where you don't have to feel bad about talking about it. And I think that's another piece that Mike didn't really mention, but it's very important. It's like, have people you can talk to where you can actually say like, either A, I had a really shitty experience today with my rental and this is what happened. Cool, let's talk about how to fix that. Or, B, I had a great time and I was able to actually capture, 6 figures of equity and I sold the property and now I've got a bunch of cash. What should I do? Right. And it's really cool to surround yourself with success and surround yourself with abundant thinking people. Because if you don't, I think right now is a particularly dangerous time in the world to be surrounded by a scarcity mindset and people around you that can try and get into that fortress of solitude, which is your mentality and your mindset, right? There's lots of people right now that have just been binging CNN and CTV news for the last 13 months or however long we've been staying at home for. And it's just like, that shit is toxic. And it's actually really scary to imagine how quickly a populace, a global populace, can turn to the worst in terms of mindset, in terms of optimism, in terms of even financial, intelligence, right? The whole world's gone a little crazy over the last little while, and it doesn't really look like it's going to be better that fast in terms of a global societal scale. So what I think our duty is here, and one of the reasons why we wanted to do this webinar tonight, first of all, it's a shameless plug for our wholesaling business, just so that you guys know, like we actually sell some wicked deals. And if you move fast and buy our deals, you'll probably make more money. There's that piece of it. But there's also like, I actually do really want to impact the people that are consuming our content in a way that's meaningful. So I want you guys to move faster at coming up with business ideas, at implementing new strategies, at even just getting started, like whether that's the first phone call you have to do that you've been dreading, or whether it's actually submitting that first offer on the paperwork that you've been scared to do because you're not sure what the legal liabilities are. Okay. There's free YouTube content for that. There's free videos for that. There's groups like Cashflow Tribe out there that you can join and just get instantly educated by masters in the art. Right there's if you wanted to learn cars, there's YouTubes for that. There's videos. There's all sorts of free online education for that. There's things like this webinar to get you into better rooms, right? So I really respect everybody and their time for coming out tonight. And I just want to say thank you to Mike for just attending this and sharing openly your thoughts. And again, these are just unscripted discussions, guys, every single week. So if there's topics too that you want to hear from, Rebecca's going to send you a follow-up survey to this talk. Just throw us out your topics and we're just going to keep the conversation rolling. This isn't planned out here. Like there's no rubric, there's no syllabus. This isn't an online university. This is just a few people wanting to share their thoughts about how things are going, and honestly just bringing a positive spin to the world. Like the three of us at the very least that have hosted this call today have had a fantastic experience over the last 13 months. And I want to just share with you that that's out there. Okay. It is possible to do that when the rest of the world is panicking and like, you know, going crazy. We're also going crazy, but after really cool and fascinating things. Like we're trying to figure out, Mike's trying to solve the unsolvable problem. How do you open a restaurant? Okay, worst idea in the entire world. So Mike just jumps on it because he moves fast and breaks things.
But we got to get fed. We got to get fed first, because if we're not fed, we got to feed your bellies.
All right, don't open restaurants. Don't open restaurants. That's actually a bad idea.
We got to feed our bellies. Once our bellies are full, then we can think. That's how I roll. I gotta eat. If I can't eat, I don't eat, man. My day's done. And I think that's
a culture thing.
I think he just hit me up with food, you know. So.
Yo, Mike, how do we Uber Eats your business over here?
Don't worry, it's not open yet. It's gonna be open in April, but no, man, no, guys. Any questions you have, I'm totally open. Not obviously Rebecca and Adam, but anybody else you got questions, hit me up on any. And I have anybody knows I'm totally an open book. I don't care what you ask me, anything, money, what, I don't care. Ask me, shoot, fire.
So yeah, we got probably about 15 minutes here if you guys want to throw any questions in the chat. And we're happy to answer anything.
Yeah,
so
go over, we'll go over Rebecca and Adam's stuff because they actually have good product. And I've bought stuff from them before. I bought two individual properties at different times. And it's honestly, it's easy. Like that's the key. It's easy. They're doing the work. Yeah, you're paying a dollar amount, but they give you meat on the bone. I think that's the problem. There's so many wholesalers out there that throw stuff out and they don't give you any meat on the bone. If you don't get meat on the bone, what's the point? You know, and then as time goes on, it's going to be less meat on the bone, right? So that's really the truth, because in 5 years or 3 years from now, the meat on the bone is going to be like this much, right? So it's like get in now early while the game is still kind of young, right? It's still young. So, sorry.
Absolutely. No, that's fantastic, Mike. And absolutely, we're going to take some time for question and answers. And we already have Paul asking about the 11 unit multifamily here. So Paul, I will definitely get to that very shortly. Oh, Adam is also wondering about that deal, but we will certainly get to all of the deals shortly, but let's go through some question and answer live here. So we have a question in here from Kunal, who's asking, what is the best way to find buyers for wholesaling? So I'll actually take that one on, since I am the disposition specialist. So I actually get to work hand on hand with our buyers. Now, I got to step into Matt McKeever and Adam Martin's network of pre-existing buyers that they've built out over years. But we've really spent a lot of time growing that over the past year as well, and over the past several months. So social media, Facebook groups, honestly, fantastic way to find buyers. So there's actually several Facebook pages out there that are wholesaler specific. So there's one that's like Canadian wholesale and off-market real estate deals. I actually post a lot of our deals there. There's one that's like Canadian real estate investing. We actually run one, it's called Ontario Off-Market Deals. So if you're not already on that Facebook group, make sure that you do hop on. I also just post to my stories. Like if you're not following me on Instagram, that's a fantastic way to connect. And if you're not on our buyers list, make sure that you get on that. So in terms of finding buyers, they're definitely out there for wholesale deals. You just got to start reaching out. Like let people know that you're looking for buyers. Let people know that you have deals. So that would be my recommendation in terms of places to start, is reach out on some of those Facebook pages, because there's lots of people, lots of hungry investors that are there. Now, next question here from Alex is, Mike, did you say that you now love to do flips?
Okay. Sorry, I'm gonna just add to that Kunal question, actually.
Yeah.
I think that if like, I guess there's a million wholesalers out there now, just based on kind of what I'm hearing, people are like, there are a million wholesalers, right? So if a wholesaler has a deal in their hand, it does make sense to give it to somebody bigger than you, right? So yeah. It's like they should come to Adam and be like, look, Adam, I got this deal. There's 20K in it. Can I get 5 out of the deal? And Adam's like, fuck you, give me 10 because we're worth it. Whatever the case is, you know what? Why not? I mean, like, unless Kunal by himself has the paper in his hand and he's like, I'm trying to grow. You can't grow with one piece of paper in your hand. You know, you need to pump out the type of volume that you guys are pumping out, right? So you got to go to the big dog until Kunal can build his team, grow in a different space, or, you know, whatever the case is, right? And I think that collabing is not and I think that's something that people don't really always think about. Like, there's no such thing as competition. There is no such thing as competition, you know?
Yeah, we're back to the abundance mindset, right?
Exactly. And I mean, like, man, I don't want to. If I get a deal that comes across my desk and I don't want it, and I feel like you guys can benefit and you guys can move that deal, well, it gets it off my plate. You guys get it helps your business because you got another lead in your pipeline. So I always say, like, man, we're all in this together. There's enough eyes for attention out there. It's not like I can get it all, or I can get all the rentals, or I can buy all the deals, like so that's just adding to that point. But
and the more business you do, the more business you do. It's the craziest thing. So Rebecca was at my house today. We were doing a work session, and we're just sitting there working away on some stuff for the new business. And I get a phone call, and it's just this guy literally begging me to take his, and I swear to God, begging me to take his $8 million. Like, I'm like, what the fuck is this real life? I'm like, dude, how'd you get my number? And he's just like, I don't know. My daughter's friends, somebody heard about you doing business. And I'm like, okay, sure. This is crazy. And so he's just got $8 million he wants to deploy in London and surrounding at like 7% plus a broker and lender fee. So I'm like, okay, sure. I was like, you're going to need more money, but I'll get rid of that first 8 million first. And so, I just think back to when I started this, money was the problem. And it's like, that was such a wrong mindset. It's not, there's literally so much money and so many resources out there that it's unfathomable. Okay. There's more money than there are realtors. Okay. Just a shout out for Rob Richards. I like to say this, there's more realtors than there are grains of sand in the universe. It's gross. And also, by the way, Mike VanHoudt is also a dirty little realtor.
Honestly, bro, I was going to hide under the table when you said that, because somebody asked me today, I got a message saying, because I posted that because I have this whatever. And somebody asked, DM me and said, hey, are you a wholesaler or real estate agent?
No.
I'm like, neither. I'm neither.
No. Yeah, no, I'm not. But anyways, guys, the abundance mindset's huge. I think that's one of the biggest shifts you can do.
So as far as the question goes, do I love flips? I actually love the content of it, right? Like, we're in the game of producing content now, and the content is the eyes, right? Like, I've shifted. Like, my business now is just about eyes. That's it. It's about eyes, because I've realized that eyes obviously care about what I show. So why not do it? And I want to go through it. Like, now I want to go through the pain of like you, because if anybody started on this chat, anybody started a YouTube channel today, they could get at least 80 subscribers. I'm at 124, 129, I think 129 today. That sucks. So anybody can be on that. So we're all at the same sort of start, right? But when you start that, what are you going to start it with? And that's flips is one of them, right? Because people like it. It's interesting. Can you make money off flips? How much money do you make? That kind of stuff. So for me, it's about content, showing it. It keeps the guys busy. Do I love flips? I love it when it sells, and we're in a seller's market. So yeah, I think so. And I think the rest of 2021 will be strong. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, like, all new construction is stopped for the most part in Ontario, and all these homes are sold pre-con, and sales are there. So all these guys have not started building yet. And once the lockdowns are lifted, guess what? Everybody's going back to normal, but twice as hard, because they're like, if it happens again. So hysteria is going to be fucking like massive again. So you think real estate's going to slow down between now and hysteria? And stuff takes time to build. So I know collectively between 4 different builders in London, they have about 250 homes already sold. Like, if I'm adding up all the individual 4 different dudes, they all have 200 and something, almost 300 houses sold, besides condos and apartment buildings. So you got to think how long it takes to dig it, how long to build it. 300 homes, that's a good 4 months. So for the next 4 months, it's good. I'm getting calls from buddies in Toronto, because they live in Toronto, and they're looking at places. Their clients are looking at places in London, and they're giving them to me, because they're like, man, you got to help this person out. They're looking to get. So I'm having conversations now with people from Toronto that want to move here, which is normal. It's nothing new. But the difference is that people are shifting, and obviously we all know that. So real estate's not dying anytime soon. So I think that no matter what the fuck you buy, it doesn't matter if you overpay by 3% or 4% or whatever, because now properties are not exactly 100 grand. They're like 400 or 500 grand. So if you spend 420 instead of 405, who cares? It doesn't matter, because it's going to be worth 485 anyways. I mean, we're in an uprising, man. I didn't honestly believe it. And that's why I sold out for a long time to real estate. And I was like, man, I'm happy where I'm at. I'm not gonna buy anything else. But I just started going heavy in the last 3 months because I'm like, man, I know for a fact 2021 is gonna be good. I don't know it's gonna be good in September, but I know it's gonna be good till June. That's the truth, you know? So any other questions? Let me go back to the list.
Absolutely. Yeah. What is your favorite real estate investing strategy?
Oh my God, don't ask me those fucking questions.
It doesn't matter. Whatever strategy is best for your why.
Please. Yeah. Can we skip that question? I don't have a fucking.
Yeah, we can.
That's a bad question.
There are dumb questions.
Yeah, I can't.
Here's a good one. Here's a good one. And I think I know your answer just based on what you've already done, but what's your rationale between growing an existing business versus jumping on to the next one? And then do you prefer vertical or horizontal? I know real quick for me, I like the vertical businesses and I've got a bunch, but those all rely on real estate as a whole. So like if that industry goes down, a lot of my businesses would suffer. But yeah, interesting, Mike, to hear your perspective. But seeing as how you've got a salon, a restaurant, a car dealership, a thing, and like all these other random things.
So, like I'll tell you, for me, it's excitement and stress, right? So that's the two things that keep me going. I think the stress, if it's stressful, so like the roofing company, 11 guys, I did to a point I had like 3 years ago, I had like almost 20 dudes that worked for me. We used to go to shingle jobs. We used to bang out 2 shingle jobs a day. I would always have 20 deals in the pipeline, and I pumped those up all while I had still a full-time job. So I'd get up at 6:30 in the morning. I'd meet the guys at 7 on site. I'd be out of there by 8 o'clock. I'd run home, shower, shave, eat, and then get to Audi at 9. And then I'd bid a computer and I'd just manage everybody, get phone, the usual stuff, right? So that for me was like amazing because the money was good, but the stress was at an all-time high. And I'm like, whoa, this doesn't make any sense, man. I'm out of this thing. So I leveled it off to 11, and I have a really good team. I structured it differently. I have a main guy that basically does all my actual, like I have a foreman that does all my work. I basically go out and I'm basically like the PR guy, right? To make it all pretty happy and making sure that people get paid and put my life on the line to make sure the job is done well. So that's how roofing is done. Do I plan on getting bigger in roofing? No, I could, but I don't because I'm happy where it's at. So that's existing business. I'm cool where it's at. New businesses, honestly, I love just new and the exciting part of it. And I think for me, it's not about getting huge. So I don't want roofing to be huge. I don't want the salon to be huge. This restaurant, I don't want it to be huge. I want it to be manageable and no stress. When I go to bed at night, man, I don't have no stress. Nothing keeps me up at night, like nothing. Except for like when my wife turns the temperature too hot because women are always freaking cold.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I have no fucking clue, dude. But
that's next week's webinar, actually.
No,
why women are always cold? Well, I mean, I'm wearing a sweater right now, so I don't know what to tell you guys, but I'm also always cold. So
I know. So I'm telling you, so that's the thing that keeps me kind of in check is just offloading all my data on my phone. That's very easy to do. But I don't get stressed. And if people are stressing me out, man, I'm done with you. There's nothing that can make it change. That's you're just not the right fit, man. That's it. You're not the right fit. And I'm going through a little bit of that with the restaurant. It's very, I'll quickly just explain it because the guy that's running it, he basically has a staff that came up with him through basically nothing. And then they've got a good product now, but they have shitty service. So what happens is that the food comes out really well and people don't have the motivation or basically the drive to treat people faster because they're in demand. They can't produce enough food. So people don't even care. So now it's like, yeah, they're waiting. Who cares? It's not a big deal. So for me coming in, it's about cleaning that mindset up. And I feel like the only way to do it is to get new people because you cannot change. It's like, you cannot change the mindset of people that believe like, 3 deals a year is all I want to be. And I cannot see myself doing 5. And I think that's the problem, right? Like it's all in the fucking mind, dude. It's just crazy. It's crazy. I just rub my head because like this kind of shit just stresses me out thinking like there are so many people. It's like I watched this movie White Tiger. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's on Netflix now. And one of the things that he popped up is an Indian guy that like was a servant, but whatever. And I'm half Indian, so I kind of relate to that bit of that. And one of the things he said, he passed by like this house, and he said the rich can let opportunity pass, but the poor can't. And that's really, really interesting. And I know the rich is not about the money. It's about the mind, right? And that's what it is. And I'm always kind of poor that way because I just feel like, man, if I'm rich, I'm dead. And if I'm rich, I cannot give any, I'm going to be that loser, dude, because I will tell you this is a guarantee. And everybody can look, Moose on his Bollywood jokes. I can tell everybody, and everybody's gone through this, that In high school, there's this guy or girl that's like killing it in her game. And then guess what? High school's done, university starts, or like the real world starts, and that person just flatlines, dies. Then there's the person you meet that's like the craziest, like cool story, you know, like he's like the top of the game. And then like 5 years later, he's gone. You know, so there's always that there's always those people that you look and you're like, man, you're doing what now? You're an electrician? I thought you were going to kill it. I thought you were like the craziest freaking kickboxer or whatever story they are, right? Like everybody doesn't sit on the top of the mound all the time. And I think just knowing that, man, is like, I'm not going to be at the top all the time. I don't even know if I'm top, but I just know that I can never feel like I'm at the top because I know all the people that were at the top aren't there anymore. So as long as they ain't there and I feel like I'm not there, I'm cool. I don't want to be winning, man. I want to be just, you know, every day, do something better, get my life better, be good to people around me, try to give back as much as I can. But speaking of giving back, people are way too fucking needy, by the way. Like, yeah, I can give back, but it's like, I'll give you this much. I cannot give you this much. Like, I got to do my own shit, man. I got to do my own shit, you know? So it is true, right? Like, you'll get, I mean, I guess the cash flow tribe is probably a perfect example. They'll get so many people, or Matt will get so many people, I'd be like, how do I get my first rental property? And it's like, man, I'm not in the business to tell you that. Girl, put your pants up because you have to do it yourself. We are in a world where education is free. Information is free. That is the new world. You don't have to, like it used to be like, you know information, you could win. Now you know information, that does nothing. It actually probably makes you lazier. So just selectively pick the data you want, go out there. And as Adam said right in the beginning, like it's about getting off your ass and getting shit done. And moving and speed breaking things is like, who cares if you fuck it up? Who cares if somebody slams the door on you? And who cares? Like, what does it matter? You got people in your group that'll just laugh about it. You guys high five each other. You know what I mean? Like we used to do all the time when like tenants would like call us and send us a message at 3 a.m. And guess what? I would forward that message to a buddy of mine to wake him up, to tell him it's his house that's flooding. Like I would do funny, crazy shit like that, you know, just to keep like the environment. Have you ever done that? That's so funny.
That's actually hilarious. I should do that.
Yeah, when something bad happens, you forward that, like you get that number, the person calls you, who should I call? And you forward that to the owner, and then they'll call that person all the time. And that person thinks it's his house because when he wakes up in the night, 4 a.m, he doesn't know where he's at. You know what I mean? And then
oh my God,
it's the craziest shit. But you gotta have fun with it, man. I think that's the whole key, right? Like
have fun.
It's way too fucking serious, you know? It's way too serious. And you honestly, you just cannot, I don't know, man. Sometimes I'm just running out of words because my emotions just are like, just let's move on.
So many tidbits, so many golden nuggets from tonight. Mike, this is killer. Honestly, like, big thank you for coming on tonight. And we're gonna just wrap things up here. But before we do that, I'm gonna talk all about our deals. Some good flipping deals. So I'm just gonna quickly go over the deals. Now, before I get to that, just a quick reminder, guys, that if you are not on our cottage buyers list, make sure that you get on that. It's www.cottage.com/cottage buyers. And this is where you can actually opt into getting all of our private off-market cottage deals. We also have mattmckeever.com/private deals, which is where you can opt into getting all of our killer off-market deals. Now, speaking of deals, questions or want to jump on these deals, make sure that you hit me up. Now, I have a couple more announcements. So we are, again, like I mentioned, growing and expanding our team. So we're really looking to build into some new markets. So if you're looking for a bit of a change, or even just know someone who is looking for a change, then make sure you shoot us a message afterwards. And there's actually links for applying to our admin roles and links to apply to our wholesaling team just in my bio on Instagram. So I'll also include those links in the follow-up email today. If you're looking for some wicked problems or profits merch, here is where you can find it. We've even got some like in-style face masks going on in the merch store. So, I mean, if you want to rep your problems or profits when you're out and about, make sure you hit that store up. And again, sign up for our Facebook page. It's Ontario Private Deals. And just to close off, guys, make sure that you send some feedback. So we always build our topics off of the feedback that you guys provide. So this is literally the survey. Like, this is all of it. You can see the submit button. I promise it won't take you long. Literally just hop on right after the webinar once you receive that follow-up email, and make sure that you give us a little follow as well following this webinar. So Mike VanHoudt, you can find him on Instagram as well as YouTube. So these are the two YouTube channels that Mike has here. At Acceler8 TV is the Instagram handle for his business, and at Mike VanHoudt is his personal Instagram. So again, thank you guys so much, and I'll pass it off to Mike and Adam to close us off. But another killer Wednesday webinar. Mike, thank you so much for joining us.
No problem. Thanks for having me, and I hope everybody got something out of this, because that is the point at the end of the day, right, Adam?
Exactly,
if they don't get nothing and they don't move and they're like, okay, that was good. Back to like whatever you watched, Friends or Seinfeld or whatever. I don't know, guys. That was like
I love Friends.
2 years ago. Yeah, I know. But listen, that was 2 years ago. This is 2021, guys and girls. Like
years ago.
Years ago. But listen, that you have to have time for yourself. I get it. But if you make things fun that you do, then it's not like, it's part of your life, right? You know, and that's the truth, man. I just think that, like, I think this black and white, or this, like, you know, this line in the sand of like work and life, you know, I mean, like,
yeah, I hate that. That's bullshit.
It can all be kind of in it, you know, and you have to, it's going to take a really long time. You just kind of mentioned on family. It's going to take a really long time for your family to actually get involved in it. So you got to spoon feed them small bits that they can see, that they can say, I did this and I got this. Cool. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, perfect. I did this. And then it just becomes like part of the routine. Then they see you, right? So I think people probably have a bit of that in their system, that the family can bring you down, you know, and it's normal, man. And it's normal. Enough no's will make you feel no, right? But I think just spoon feed little positives, and then you'll eventually get where you want to be. So
awesome.
Having me here.
Thank you so much for coming on tonight, Mike. Really appreciate it, and looking forward to the next time I can grab you as well. We'll do another podcast and just talk more at length together. But appreciate everybody's time. You know, I like to say this at the end of just about every one of our webinars, but you could have been doing anything tonight with your time, and you could have been exploring any dark corner of the internet that you freaks get into. But instead, you were here developing your mind, your spirit, and your intelligence. And so thank you so much, everyone, tonight for your time and attention. It is very valuable to us. And if you guys didn't show up, we wouldn't be doing these. So every single week, it's great to see new names, new faces, new people that maybe haven't run into us before. And I hope that if you enjoyed tonight, you'll come and actually jump over to some of our other channels and digest some more focused content there about either real estate investing or cars or whatever we get into next. So appreciate all of you, and hope you all have a fantastic evening. And we'll see you back next week at this exact same time. And we will be talking about something else cool next week. So come back, have fun with us. And if you didn't learn anything, at least give us the feedback about what we should be talking about next time. So good night, everybody.
Good night.
See you later. All right. How do I shut this thing off?
I'm going to make that your hook for this video, man.
How do I leave?
That's the hook. Mike just being stuck on Zoom. Like, what the fuck?
It's like your face, you know, being stuck. So, all right.
This is the bloopers.
I'll end it. I'll end it, y'all.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Guys.
Thanks again, Mike.
Thank you so much, Mike.